Hello, hello, hello. This is Point of View with Shirley Folk. It's a wonderful, wonderful day here in Dallas, Texas. God is so good to each of us. He is worthy to be praised, and I thank Him for everything. I thank Him for you, for watching me today. It's just a blessing. It's a blessing. And I thank God for everything that He's doing for me, everything that He's done, everything that He's going to do. It's just a privilege to be here with you today. I am so thankful. And we're talking about verbal abuse today. We're talking about verbal abuse. And I found an article in Lifehack, and it's really, really interesting, and it would be good for each of us because there are people out here in this world that try to control every aspect of everybody's life. And I imagine people have tried it on just about everybody, it's verbal abuse, but you don't have to put up with that, let alone the physical abuse. That verbal abuse is really cruel. It's really, really cruel also. So we're going to talk about this verbal abuse, okay? And it is found in lifehack.org. And the author here is Angela Kunstman, and I think it's Kunschmann. It could either be Kunstman or Kunstman. And Angela, as I say to others, that if I mispronounce your word, I really, really do apologize. Okay, we're talking about verbal abuse. Verbal abuse, and it's a cruel thing also. Verbal abuse that's not easy to spot, but indeed very harmful. Verbal abuse runs rampant and is the most underreported act of domestic violence of them all. It says the most underreported act of domestic violence. So more often than not, young girls are raised that this is how we are expected to be treated. Several groups want to point out that it's not true, okay? We don't want you to expect to be verbally abused, all right? And I have my take on this is that if we come from a home, and thank God I didn't, where the the children have seen their parents abuse each other, one parent abuse the other verbally and physically, or verbally and physically, then I think this kind of shapes and molds a child's psyche. And then some people go out and find somebody just like that person that was the abuser. And it happens, it's documented that they do, because that's what they know. And even though they might not really know what they're choosing, it just could be that they're drawn to this because this is what they know. It could be, okay? So verbal abuse runs rampant and is the most underreported act of domestic violence of them all. So however, 62% of tweens ages 11 through 14 report that they are aware of their friends being in verbally abusive relationships. Now these are young children, 11 through 14, who report. 62% of these children report that they are aware of their friends being in verbally abusive relationships. Now that is pitiful. That is pitiful. But then they need to let some adults know, some adults who will do something about this mistreatment. And it's one thing to know, but to let other people know is a very brave and courageous thing to do. So if you know somebody that's in situations like this, old or young, tell somebody that can help in the situation, okay? 1 in 4 teenage girls who are in relationships report enduring repeat verbal abuse. 1 in 4 teens, they report enduring repeat verbal abuse. Now, tweens and teens do not just automatically subject themselves to such relationships. It's learned behavior that stays for a long time. See, didn't I tell you that? It's something that they've learned. The abuser has learned somewhere, and the victim has also sometimes been in that situation and learned them too. You're subject to this, but you do not have to be subject. You do not have to be silent. You do not have to endure this type of treatment. You do not. And I've been in situations more than once like this, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. And I thank God that I'm out of it. I'm out of it. I'm out of it. And verbal abuse is more than feeling uneasy. It dampens our spirits. Verbal abuse is more than feeling uneasy. It dampens our spirits. Entering into adulthood, this behavior continues. In some cases, it turns into physical and or sexual violence. However violent the relationship can get, the verbal abuse is the most damaging to the psyche. Repeatedly exposing ourselves to verbal abuse can lead to the feeling like you are constantly on guard. It can make you feel it could lead to the loss of enthusiasm. When you used to be enthusiastic about things, you could lose that enthusiasm. It's unsure of being able to communicate effectively. You can, remember, you can. No matter what that abuser tells you you can't do, you can, okay? Positive things, you can, okay? Your abuser will convince you otherwise if you let the abuser convince you otherwise. Diagnosis of depression and or anxiety. Suicidal thoughts. Trapped in the what if thoughts. My goodness. Feeling uneasy or paranoid for no reason. It just doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. Okay? The verbal abuse does not feel good. It not only does it not feel good, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. Okay? So please, 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 if you're in a verbally abusive relationship or even a physically abusive relationship, either or both, get out of it right now. Get out of it right now. Free yourself. Run, run, run. Get to somebody that can help you. Okay? Now, here's a complete catalog of various abuse tactics. Now, there are very specific methods to abuse, and these become your warning signs. If you are newly dating someone, take note of these tactics, okay? Take note of these tactics. The first one is withholding. They don't tell you everything and avoid sharing thoughts or feelings. Discussions become based only on facts with no real in-depth sharing. Okay? That's the first one, withholding. The abuser withholds answers and information. All right? Countering. There's a tendency to be argumentative. You enjoy a movie. Your abuser must tell you why the movie was awful and convince you that you are wrong. And she goes to tell her, she said, I often said that if I told my ex-husband the sky is blue, then he would go on a long-winded rant on why the sky was really green and there was something wrong with my vision. See, verbally abusive people, they want to turn it around. They counter it, okay? Here's discounting, the next one. They discount. They are removing your rights to how you feel. When they discount your feelings, they're removing your rights to how you feel. You become too much of anything. You're too sensitive, too childish, or over dramatic. You know, I said, you just a drama queen. Yeah, just a drama queen. Oh, you just let that hurt your feelings. Oh, you too sensitive. Oh, stop that. You so childish. You childish. Grow up. Discounting, okay? Now this tactic tends to leave you and you feeling as if you are never quite good enough for your partner. All right? And then here's another tactic. It's just a joke. Have you heard people say that they say something mean, demeaning, and they say it's just a joke, or embarrassing, it's just a joke. They're hiding the abuse behind the caveat, it's just a joke. And she goes on to talk about her ex-husband again. She said, my ex-husband would often spend plenty of time trying to shame me for something in front of other people, and if I dared get upset, he would say, it's just a joke, you're being too sensitive. Have you ever been told that? Have you ever been treated like that? There are people out there that are experts in verbally abusing and beating a person down to where they have hardly any self-esteem left. Now there's this blocking and diverting tactic. They control all conversations. The abuser decides what you two talk about, and if you change the subject, you are chastised for speaking out of turn. Now, when it's like that, they've really got you. If you let them do you like that, it's nothing wrong with silently walking away. Don't let the left hand, which is this, know what your right hand is doing. Get out of it. Get out of it. Don't say, well, if you don't stop, I'm going to leave you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just when you get the chance and you're out of the person's company, get to stepping and stay gone, okay? They control all of the conversations. And you know people like this, people blocking and diverting, they control all of the conversations. And then they decide what you're going to talk about, when you're going to talk about it. You can't talk about anything unless they say you can talk about it, okay? Then there's the accusing and blaming. The victim is blamed for things going wrong in the abuser's life that is out of control for the victim. They just have to have somebody to blame, and since you're the one, they're going to blame it on you, okay? A famous example is that your appearance is all wrong and cost the abuser a potential promotion. Of course, it couldn't possibly be because the abuser wasn't right for the promotion, but the abuser is going to blame it on the victim. There are so many people being victimized in this world. So many people. All right? Get out of it. Get out of it. Don't make an announcement. Just get out of it. Okay? And stay strong. All right? Trivializing and undermining. Trivializing and undermining is the next. They minimize your successes or passions. You may really like a particular type of food, and your abuser must tell you how unspectacular it is. If you get a promotion or a raise at work, they will try to lessen the good that it makes you feel. Jealousy, selfishness, abusiveness, okay? So don't let them do that to you, okay? And that's called trivializing and undermining. They want to take away all your joy. Anything you feel good about, they don't want you to have that, okay? Then there's the threatening. They threaten you. This can be as simple as, if you don't do this, I will leave you. And then she goes to talk about her ex-husband again. She said her ex-husband was quite subtle with his threats. She said his worst was when he told his friend in front of her. She said he told his friend in front of her, I am afraid of my temper. I think one day I may lose control and kill my wife. That is some evil, evil, evil stuff. And she said he stared at me to see a response. That's evil. That is evil. If anybody ever makes a statement like that around you, you get out of there. Get away from it. And don't look back, okay? Him or her. Whoever you need to get away from, get away from it. Name calling. Name calling. It's the most popular form in which the abuser must reduce your self-esteem by using vulgar and demeaning language to describe you. So it often weakens the victim to a point in which she doesn't feel good enough about herself to leave. She or he. They don't feel good enough about themselves. And believe me, men are victims too. Men are victims of women. They are. And then people, it could be in your workplace, it could be in other places that you go to. There might be somebody there that's verbally abusing you. You know, cut them off. of your life. Cut them out of your life. Cut them out of your life. Completely out of your life. Okay? Then there's forgetting. They forgot date night. Forget to call. Forget your birthday and anniversary. It's an act of controlling what happens in your day today and controlling your emotions. Forgetting your birthday hurts. And if you don't get a call for your birthday, you're supposed to be in a relationship with someone and they don't even call you on your birthday. Now that's something. Woo! Gaslighting. The abuser changes events that have already happened. You will recall a series of events and your abuser will say something like, "That is crazy. That never happened." You know it happened, but the abuser's going, "That's crazy. That never happened." Or worse, they will change the events and tell you that your memory is wrong. It's not only an act of control, it's meant to drive you crazy. It's meant to drive you crazy. And then there's a projection. Projection. They pretend like you're using abuse tactics on them. They project it to you. Even though they're the abusing one, they turn it around and tell you that you're abusing them. So many abusers, when confronted with their tactics of abuse, will try to flip the events and claim that the victim is actually the abuser. Now, this is especially true for narcissistic abusers who can't handle having their public image shattered. My. Now we're going to go into telling you several things to do in face of verbal abuse. Several things to do in face of verbal abuse. If you find yourself in a situation with someone using verbal abuse, your instinct will be to rationally have a discussion. The fact is, you cannot reason with an abuser. Try as you might, it just won't stop once they know how to get under your skin. And that is a fact. I can agree with that. That's a fact. Okay, now, one way to combat the abuse is to call them out for their behavior every single time it happens. Avoid using you statements, okay, such as, "You're gaslighting me." Okay, we're talking about gaslighting. Okay, rather be more direct with, "Stop abusing me," or "Stop blaming me for things I cannot control." They will either learn from their behavior and stop, or they will move on to another person to try and abuse. And then sometimes it will even get worse. There's a third thing in here. They might hurt you, okay? They might hurt you. So be very careful. Be very, very careful. All right. I mean, physically hurt you. Your other option is to set boundaries and not pursue relationships with folks who do abuse you. This can be very difficult if this is a close familial relationship. So ultimately, you should not feel obligated to endure abuse for anyone at any time. You should not feel obligated to endure abuse for anyone at any time. When you set the boundary to only allow healthy relationships, you are empowering yourself to expect better treatment. Remember that. Remember that. When you set boundaries to only allow healthy relationships, you are empowering yourself to expect better treatment. Now, it's important to note that verbal abuse is an act of domestic violence. It is an act of domestic violence. It doesn't matter if someone never lays a hand on you. Verbally abusing you is harmful and damaging. If you or anyone you love is enduring verbal abuse, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline for help. And the number is 1-800-799-7233, 1-800-799-7233. And if you can't remember that, or you don't have access to that number right away, dial 911 and get to stepping, okay? I love you. It's a wonderful, wonderful day in this world. This is Point of View with Shirley Polk, 214-403-7563. The Point of View 1, that's the Point of View 1, the number 1, at yahoo.com. Enjoy the remainder of your day. This is Monday, the 13th of November in the year 2017. It is the Lord's Day, and I am so thankful to God for everything that He's doing, everything that He's done, everything that He's going to do in our lives. This is a day that God has made, and I am rejoicing and glad in it. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. All right? Enjoy the